Recently, I graded 52 assignments, if you can believe that, 52 presentations that is, and when I was doing that, it inspired me to actually write down the best practices and things to avoid when creating presentations, whether that's for school or whether that's for business, doesn't matter, but there are some best practices and things that you can avoid when creating presentations, and this applies across all industries, across all kinds of reports that you're creating. So in today's video, I'll be sharing 6 presentation mistakes that you can avoid very easily. Take note of what I'm going to share in this video and just keep it handy whenever you're working on a presentation. And so let's just get into it. Number 1 is using short sentences in your presentations. Don't use sentences that are a couple lines long, or don't use any extra words that aren't really necessary to describe what you want to say. Don't use more words than you actually need to say what you want to say there, and that's pretty much it. An example for this is if you have a chart, you don't need to really say as the data shows us, or as the graph shows us, as the chart shows us, or anything of that sort. Yes, it's there, it shows us, no need to repeat that. Second thing is, don't repeat what the chart really clearly says. So if the chart says it's a comparison between 2019 and 2020, you don't need to repeat that again in your sentence, because it's either in the chart title or it's either in the axes, and we can see it very clearly. Removing these kinds of sentences is going to save you time, save the reader time, and also save you space on that very valuable page that you have for the report. So let's move to number 3, which is don't use ambiguous words. So don't use words like a lot, very low, or more that don't help to quantify things and that don't really help to support your case. If you have numbers, use those numbers. If you don't have numbers to quantify what you're talking about, maybe do a comparison instead to show a relative relationship, a ratio between them, but simply avoid those ambiguous words that don't contribute to your point, that don't support your case, that don't really mean anything in the end. Also, another tip here is don't make assumptions about something being very low or very high if you don't have a benchmark or if you don't have another number to compare to. Number 4 is no need to repeat the instructions or the request that you have, whether from that's your professor, whether that's from your boss. Say that you've been asked to do a report using Google Analytics and you're going to be comparing 2018 and 2019, which is what we did for my class for a topic. If that's the ask for the report, then you don't need to repeat that once again in the report, saying that this is a comparison between this year and that year using the tool Google Analytics. Use questions that help to tell a story or take the reader through one step to the second step, but there's no need to repeat the instructions all over again because we know that's what the report is all about. The 5th mistake you need to avoid in presentations is to use the right word and the right terminology and the right metric. If that's an analytics kind of report, you need to use the right word for it, and you need to make sure that it is consistent across the whole presentation. You shouldn't be using terminology exchangeably because they mean different things. For example, if you're talking about new users on one page and then on the second page you all of a sudden start talking about new visitors instead, make note that there is a difference between those metrics. Or for example, if you're talking about traffic, what is the metric specifically that you're taking into account to talk about traffic? Are you taking sessions? Are you talking about page views? Are you talking about new users acquired? What is it exactly that you want to talk about? Make sure that you're using that right word, the term, the metric, whatever it is in your presentation, and make sure that it is coherent and consistent across the whole presentation. Final mistake that you can easily avoid is using the right chart for your data. And for this one, there's so many resources on the internet that can help you choose the right chart for the function that you need. And if you're unsure, please refer to these resources. I will leave a link to a resource in the description box below as well as the comments. So if you don't know which chart is right for your data, go take a look. I'm sure that's going to help you. The thing that you need to remember is when you're choosing to visualize your data, you're actually deciding on the relationship that you want to emphasize. You need to make sure that the chart is clear and easy enough for an objective outsider to be able to understand what you're telling. And the thing to remember here is that your chart needs to be easy and clear enough for an outsider, for a first-time viewer to be able to understand even without an explanation. So that's the ultimate goal with data visualization. Choosing the wrong chart for the data is a very common mistake that so many people do. Even people with a lot of experience with presentations can sometimes do this. So don't feel bad if you made this mistake, but there are resources to help you out, so just take advantage of them. That's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you found the tips helpful, and hopefully you'll start avoiding these mistakes in your presentations. If you got some value out of this video, please don't forget to hit the like button for me. It really helps to support the growth of this channel. It tells the YouTube algorithm that something is going on here. More people should be exposed to this content, so please help me do that. If you're new here and not subscribed already, then consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye bye.